hitting the road, playing a team like this right off the bat. I'm sure you knew that what you were in for. At the same time, I'm sure you were hoping to see maybe a few more things. Can you kind of just summarize how you felt about the matchup in the game?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking forward to the matchup against a team like Duluth, top 15 team in the country, and picked to win our division and to compete for the conference championship. And personally, I really feel like that's the best team for us to play right out of the gate, because we still are a fairly young team, and having not played for 8 months. Gives us our best chance to see where we are in comparison to a good established football team. It didn't obviously end up the way that we wanted at the end of the day, but it's allowed us to, since the game's been over, to now look at what do we need to get better at, what can we do to try to make our biggest improvements from game one to game two. So we find the silver lining in it, and unfortunately it doesn't make the wins and losses change in the past, but going forward it gives us a lot of momentum to what we're going to try to do game two.
From the defensive side of things, I know going in that scenario you really wanted to see some improvement on. Did you felt there was a step somewhere in there that things look a little better?
I did. I felt like we played much stronger against the power running game, and especially the internal, in between the tackles type game. We got exploited a little bit on speed option, but their quarterback's pretty good, and he checked into it when he saw us in certain defenses that left us a man short at times, and so they were able to have some success with that. A lot of those situations we were kind of selling out on the blitz anyways, so you kind of take a chance on that, and at times it worked, and then at times it didn't. So I did like what I saw. I saw that a couple things down the field didn't go very well for us on some coverage issues, but we had some, just like we kind of talked about all preseason, we had a bunch of guys starting that really haven't played any meaningful reps in the past, and it was their opportunity to go out there and make their mistakes so that they can grow and learn and get better. And I still, for me, when I grade them and look at it, there's still so many more positives than there are negatives. It just doesn't show up in the score line. So we're very positive and very hopeful for this coming week.
Any similarities between how Duluth and Northern State just run their systems, or is Northern just a complete departure from what you saw last week?
They have some similarities on defense. They're very similar in that regards. I mean, they all kind of come from the old UND defensive playbook from back when those guys were doing really well in Division II. So they each have their own minor little tweaks to that defense, but for the most part, it's still got the same skeleton and same bones. So we expect to see the same defensive structure, maybe not the same exact coverages or pressures that may be called, but structure-wise, we think that'll be similar. And then offensively, it's a totally different type of offense, but that's pretty normal throughout the league. Every week you see different offenses, whereas defenses can be pretty similar.
Fair to assume going into the Duluth game that you didn't expect to end up on SportsCenter?
No, we didn't. There was no assumption that we were going to be on SportsCenter, and I made the comment earlier that I've been coaching long enough. There wasn't social media when I first started, so this is something new that something can blow up like that and have as much of actually a positive impact for us, just in terms of people seeing us across the country, regardless of it being a loss. That we made an exciting play and got some notoriety and got a chance to see some young guys kind of show up that we're looking forward to for their future. So it was an exciting outcome to a not pleasing outcome. Let's put it that way.
Well, from an offensive standpoint, Isaiah and Ollie kind of split carries overall if you kind of look at the big picture, but looked like Ollie really had a nice day. Was that a little bit of a surprise, or do you feel he could step up like he did?
No, it wasn't a surprise at all with the productivity that Ollie had. We kind of figured that was in him, and that's what our hopes were. We kind of went on the shoulders of Isaiah for the bulk of the first half, being the older veteran, kind of working Ollie in sparingly as a freshman. Once we got into that second half, though, we decided that we wanted to give him a lot more meaningful reps and see what he can do running the football. And he gave us some pretty good snapshots of things we saw in recruiting, but once you get on the college field, you gotta see it in person to see if it carries over. And he's able to show that he's got that burst into the second level, and he's got some breakaway speed. He's able to put his shoulder down and run through some people. He's a pretty big kid. So he's another one that he's just creating excitement just of how we played. And even being down as much as we were when Ollie was getting a lot of those reps, the enthusiasm for him on our sidelines from his teammates and obviously from us coaches is something that's exciting as well, because we're all just, we know that there's good things to come, and we can't get down on a bad game and let that define what we're going to be about for the season. It's only one game, and I likened it to them taking a test in a college class. You take your first test and you don't do very well. That doesn't determine your final grade, as long as you work hard to try to get better on the next one.
How can you guys maybe just control the pace of the game a little bit better so you don't find yourselves maybe chasing a team that's up 2 or 3 scores on you?
I mean, that's, it kind of goes in and out. I mean, some teams will try to dictate the flow by going fast and seeing if they can run 100 plays in a game. Others will huddle up and try to work that clock as much as they can. We try to do a little bit of both. With us being in the hole that we were in early, we didn't really break out our faster tempo style of offense on purpose. We wanted to, once you kind of get down, you want to slow things down and give your defense a little bit of a breather. Try to gain some confidence offensively, and even if you end up going 3 and out, but you're able to burn 2.5 minutes off the clock, that's 2.5 minutes of the other offense not being on the field, and trying to slowly work that momentum back into your favor. And if you come out and try to chase them and try to match them punch for punch, there's an opportunity to only have a 30-second drive, and now the defense is back out there against an offense that was being pretty productive. So that was actually the message at halftime with the coaches is the score is 28-7 at half, and yeah, we're down by 3 scores, but we don't want to chase points. We got to get back to just doing what we're doing, and if we can get some stops and get some scores, then we can get that thing flipped. But if we start chasing, then that game can get even more out of hand.
Who are some of the Northern State players you kind of want to key in on?
Their quarterback had a really good season last year. He had a great game against us. He's got 2 wide receivers that are back. One was the newcomer of the year last season in the league. So those are obvious guys that we have to be very aware of with what they're doing and what their capability is. Game 1 they played Bemidji, and Bemidji got after him a little bit. But I'm sure they're doing the same thing that we're doing, is working on making their biggest adjustments from game 1 to game 2 and trying to clean up what they're doing. But definitely offensively, it's their quarterback. Everything's going to go through him and his decisions that he makes, and so we need to be sound and sure and not give him anything easy, which last year I think honestly there were some times early in the game that we gave him a lot of easy things for him to make some plays off of. So we want to make sure if he's going to have, or their offense is going to have success, that they earn it.
Can you talk a little about Ben and his performance and his running at times? Is it more than you want him to do, or is he just trying to make plays?
No, I think Ben's, he's trying to make some plays. I mean, they brought the blitz and they forced him to make some pretty quick decisions, and we know that he's very athletic and that he can run and do some things with his legs that can neutralize a defense. I think we're in better shape this year now with our running game to be able to call some of those specifically as well, whereas last year it was more out of necessity. So now when he does run, it's even if we don't call it the necessity, it's a quick decision by him. He sees that it's a big opening. He's not going to put his body on the line and allow himself to get beat up, which I think there were some times last year where as he was trying to do something, he took a few too many hits, and more than what you want your quarterback to do. But he's going to help us stay alive because of his legs, and he's continuing to progress with his arm and doing some of those things. It's probably his biggest error that he made was throwing that interception there late in the game, and where you ask him, he'll tell you should have just thrown the ball away, and he didn't put enough on it and threw it right into a dropping linebacker, and there was nobody in front of that linebacker all the way to the end zone. So that even makes the score look worse. But at that point, the game wasn't there anyways. He's just got to continue to try to make the right decisions, even if it means that we're not going to gain any yards on that